And yes, breathe. You're listening to Connect with Dr. Anne-Marie. We're all connected in one way or another. And this show is about people empowering people, preferably through the arts. And that was Imani Wumera. She is just so amazing. I mean, that thought about bend each spark. Wow, that's creativity at its best. And because we're all about creativity at its best, I'm very, very excited to have with me today the owner and founder of Zazood, Mr. David Fisher. Good morning.
Morning. How are you today?
Actually, I take that back. Hi.
Hi.
And the store manager, Casey Smith. Hi, Casey.
Hi.
I'm very excited to have them here with me today. And if you're not familiar, Zazood is a new store. And I say new because it's very new as far as being on Central Avenue in the location where it's at. And it's very modern, at the same time very eclectic, at the same time very retro, which has such a unique combination, and creativity just sparks everywhere. So talking about bending a spark, when I walked into that store, I was just so amazed on how well put together it is, how good it feels, it smells good, you just feel good when you go in there. And then you start looking around and the choices that have been made of the art and furniture that's in there, everything is very artsy. I was just in ooh of Zazood. And it is a furniture, home decor, gifts. They also do interior design and event planning kind of store. And I say kind of store because it is a retail environment. However, it goes beyond just being a 9-to-5 type of retail environment. So I'm very excited to have you guys here today. And we are going to get to know more about Zazood in a few minutes. I do want to give a few shout outs. Today is the second day of September, and here in St. Petersburg, Florida, we have declared this month a huge, huge, huge art month. St. Petersburg, where the art just it exudes art from the moment you come into the city. You would think that it's nothing different. However, for the first time, we're celebrating what they're calling WSPF-15, and it's all happening during the month of February of September. And what's going on is various different locations, restaurants, galleries, etc., are proactively involved showcasing. But what just started was the mural, the art show for the murals, and started as of yesterday, September 1st. I should have that information right in front of me, but I do not, because this morning I did have a little glitch in the matrix, and I wanted to make sure that everything was running smoothly, so I didn't get everything put together properly. I apologize for that. It's not a good excuse, because as a show host, I should be very well prepared. However, you could go to the Warehouse Art District Association, St. Pete Warehouse Art District Association website and find out more.
The Shine Festival.
Thank you. Ding, 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 ding. I knew Casey was going to say huge purpose is here today. Please say that again.
The Shine Festival.
It is the Shine Festival, and it has to do with the murals right now.
Right. They're doing like a tour, like for a couple weeks, I think it lasts. And I don't know, I can't remember when it starts, but it might be going on right now.
Yep, and you can also check out the Arts Alliance website as well, .com and .org, and you can find out more information about that. Speaking about murals, I must, because we're getting closer to that time of the year, one of the murals that really ignited many more murals to come was the mural of BC Wu that is on, I'm going to say it's between 6, right off of Central Avenue, between Central Avenue and 1st Avenue North. In the alley there's this big blue mural with a whole bunch of other fish around it. Are you familiar, either of you? Have you seen that mural? It's right where, let's say, one corner is Wigbelia, and it's the next corner, but the alley that is behind those buildings. So
I think I know which one you're talking about.
and Bill Carrera Wu, which that's his picture right up there, he was an artist here downtown St. Petersburg. He had his studio right there on Central Avenue, a little further up 2 blocks from where Zazood is located right now. And BC Wu also was the best man at my wedding and my husband's best friend, and we love him dearly. And unfortunately, he passed away. Now we're going on 3 years in November. And he was a great example of and he was a very good initiator of, keeping, let's, get together and motivating other artists and what things we need to do. And he was here and working very, very hard when still 600 block was totally not really nice. And to see what has come of 600 block in 2 years, such a short 2.5 year short period of time, it's amazing. But that's what happens when like-minded people get together. And that's where Zazood comes in, and David Fisher and Casey Smith. Again, I walked into their store. I was extremely impressed with it. I did visit that location before, and we spoke about this, David and I, about that one New Year's Eve party that Kimberly Hendricks had when she was in that studio. Right next door, it used to be Sherry with the photography, and we had many, many, many fun events at that location as well. So you're in a very cool location of a lot of energy, and when you were moving in, I had stuck my head in there and I was asking what was going around, and I spoke to somebody and said, well, there's 3 of us, and I think they had mentioned that you were going to be living upstairs and we're getting this gallery together / store, and I was so curious about it. Now fast forward, I think have you been there almost a year? Or
2 years, actually.
Oh my gosh.
On the 29th of September, yeah.
You see how time flies by.
Time does fly.
And I am just now getting an opportunity to meet you and to get to speak with you firsthand. Enough with the introductions. David, what brought you to St. Petersburg?
Well, first of all, thanks for the compliments, because that's great to hear about the store. You give it a better advertisement than I do. So what brought me to St. Petersburg? I was working in Orlando, Florida as vice president of training for a large restaurant company. And I have always had a creative vision and outlet in doing interior design for myself. I studied architectural design in school long, long ago. And so it's always been a passion of mine. My friends have asked me to decorate their houses, and so over time, I have done more for free for friends than anything, but that passion has always existed in me, and I wanted to create a store that brought to life unique items that you couldn't find at everyday places throughout a city. I bought a beach home down on Treasure Island and 3 years ago, and just fell in love with the fact that you could bring a city and the beach together in what is St. Petersburg. And that's what attracted me to this city. The large amount of art that we have here and the great exhibits and the people are a testament to what's happened even over the last 3 years with Central Avenue. And so I didn't have the vision of starting it as quickly as I did, but things happened for a reason, I believe that, and I happened upon a space that now we are in, that I walked by on the day they put up the sign, and I said, this feels right. It feels like the right space. And so I took that space and decided it was going to be the right time to do it. And so I commuted back and forth every week to ensure that the store was operating successfully and that the vision was being brought to life. And so Casey and others that help at the store were there to, when I was not there, to bring that vision to life for myself and for the guests that come into the store. So it's a lot of work and a lot of fun. And so that fun has turned into now me being here full time, because the store has been such a success that I retired after 25 years. From my previous job. And now I'm here full time working and doing interior design projects, working on events, weddings, and fun things like that. And it's just every day coming to work is a joy. And getting to really be creative and use my creative thoughts and processes to bring to people and put smiles on people's faces.
Wow, there's nothing more amazing to me than somebody with creativity and passion can also talk about processes and, speak corporate America and speak business. And that is I'm finding out now that that's very hard for many creative people to be able to do. So that's a huge strength. Casey, how did you get here to St. Petersburg and to Zazood? What's Zazood you?
To St. Petersburg, it was, I don't know, it's all like a big, I just think it's fate and destiny that I'm here and at Zazood, and even in St. Petersburg, I literally threw a dart. I was at a transition in life, and I knew I wanted to be on the beach and near a city, and St. Petersburg is where I ended up. And
where did you come from?
I'm originally from Texas.
Oh, wow.
But I moved here from Louisiana, so just kind of making my way further down south.
What a mixture. Texas, what part of Texas?
Amarillo.
I know where Amarillo is.
And the interesting thing is we're both from Texas. I was born in Texas and I went to school near Amarillo and love it.
Yeah.
Wow. You see how certain synergies just attract? That's my wonderful backup sound engineer in the background saying that when Casey speaks, she needs to get louder. So we'll get Casey closer to the mic. It's probably that mic that's just being a brat today. Today I've had some glitches in the matrix, but we're not allowing it to take us down because this really means a lot to me. Both of you just hit on so many points. And number one, I've been working on a series, and it's talking about having passion, focus, determination. And you encompass all of that, David. You have a vision. And I'm adding that on to my list because I think that's another extremely important part of the puzzle. So having passion is very important. In order to be able to focus, you need to know what your vision is. And it seems like you've had a very clear vision of what you wanted to happen, even though you didn't exactly know, where at the time, when it was going to happen, but you always knew that was something that you're going to do.
Yeah, I'd always kind of been secretly planning that someday this would happen when I retired. I didn't think I'd retire so early in life and have the advantage of going in and doing this passion. But we teach in our leadership school, we teach that vision is the first part of the process really to making your dreams come true. And so we do vision boards as a big part of Leadership Academy and really teaching people how to create a vision board and how to get to that vision by doing that and reminding yourself daily about that vision. And so that background in, what I had in corporate America, as you mentioned, really has helped in the business success of making sure that vision stays front of mind. It helps the employees that work with Casey and I understand where we're headed and where we're going. And so if we get lost, it's about coming back to that main vision and saying, what did we want to be? Why are we doing this? And so that goes through my mind constantly as I'm creating and doing different things.
And that is so part of the creative process. I don't think you ever get lost. I just think you get distracted a little. That's why ADD is very, very, very predominant in the city. And I call it artist distraction disorder. And I think
I have a bad case of that.
Oh my gosh.
Casey will tell you all about that.
You're not the only one, I have to admit. And the beauty of it, though, and you just said something that resonated really well, is coming back. And because you have a clear vision of where it is that you're heading, even though sometimes when you do get distracted, and we did mention that we all do believe that everything happens for a reason, sometimes those distractions are actually the road that's going to lead you to that next road of success or a successful project.
Definitely.
Now, can I describe my personal experience of when I entered your store? how do you go through the process of, because no matter what, you know, you have the experience, obviously you have exquisite tastes. I mean, I
Thank
just
you.
love everything in there. But how did you start? And I have been noticing that the store is getting more inventory as we go along. The front gets decorated even more, and etc. But from day one, and I should not say but, I don't like that word, but from the day one, there has always been a lot of attraction to your storefront, which that in itself is a skill. So when you started this process, okay, so I'm gonna create this store, and these are the things I'm going to be doing. And you started looking, how did you make the decision of choosing the location where you're at? And how did you start that process of actually filling your store with beautiful inventory? Because I'm not going to say stuff. It's really cool inventory.
There's a lot of questions wrapped up in
I
that.
know.
So I'll
I
start
love
with,
doing that just to get myself out of it. And that you,
I would say that I think the store found me more than I found the store. And, you know, I literally spent one day looking for location. I drove around. I knew I wanted it to be in downtown St. Petersburg. And, you know, I saw the location. We had looked at 2 others in that day. They didn't feel right. It was a little larger than I wanted to tackle in the beginning because I was doing it only when I could get here on the weekends. So it started to be a little more overwhelming once I got into it, just because of the size of it. It is a large store to start out in for a new business. But when I weighed out at the end of the day and said, there's 3 locations I'm considering, which one do I really want? The store more told me, or the location told me where to go. It was like, it's the right thing to do. And so I thought about, you know, parceling off part of the store to make it smaller in the beginning. But, you know, through thought and process, it just came to be what it is today. As a kid, I grew up going to New York City. And so going to New York City is a huge inspiration for creative people, especially at the holidays. And so when I looked at the windows that they would do at the holidays, I knew that drawing people in was about your front store window. And the location that we have chosen on Central, 5th and Central, really helps do that. So one, we have great windows out front. They're nice and large. A little hard to see during the day because the sun, but we'll take the sun any day over rain. And so really luring people in through the creative window was the way that I wanted to start the process. And so we spend a lot of energy figuring out what's the next window. How are we going to wow people over the last window? How do we make it feel like it's not a small city, that there's this big creative genius that comes in and really, you know, can fund, because there is funding in any window display. It's like, so you have to dedicate to that. And I believe that that's a large part of how we market the store, is through that window. And so if you think about it that way, then you will probably spend more money on it, because you know that it's an attraction that gets people into your business. But it also is the first part of your brand. It's the first visible piece of your brand that people see. And so I will tell you, the days that we change the store window, it's a process. People have said we should record it. I'm like, nobody would want to see how much I have to sweat in order to get that window done in a day. And it happens in a day, literally. We will change the entire store window in one day. And it's often not sketched out or thought about much more than there's 3 key components that we're going to put in there. We'll discuss it, we'll get pieces together, and then it's changed out in literally a day. And we're often making decisions as we do it. So let's add this, let's incorporate this piece that would be really cool. Lighting is a huge part of what we do. In my prior life in the restaurant business, it's a huge part of making people feel welcome and comfortable. So oftentimes in the windows, we incorporate lighting and things of that sort in order to stimulate the senses for people to come in and really be different. When you walk up, we have a laser that puts our star field on the sidewalk and our name rotating on the sidewalk. It attracts people lighting, and it makes people think differently about what they're doing and triggers some different senses that go in before you get in the store.
It's especially noticeable at night. Like all of our whole window display is noticeable at night. So we get a lot of people that are downtown at night, and while we're not open, and they make a point to come back to the store when we're open because they've seen our window display. And
I must confess, I'm one of those people, and my husband always drives me crazy. We go to Acropolis. We normally go there a little later. You know, it's 7 o'clock. We know we shouldn't eat after 6, but we go later. And you're sitting there, and we always do the same thing and wind up going to the window. And Mark's always, I just so want to talk, go into that store and see the store. And not too long ago, we were up during light. The light was out, and it's during the morning, and the store was open, and we walked in, and what a pleasant surprise was to meet both of you, because the store speaks volumes of you, and it shows who you are and what you're doing, and it shows in a very successful way. Normally, and I don't like stereotyping, but in my head, our experiences have been when you go to a place which is so exquisite, and I use that word widely, and I'll explain more in a few minutes, but when you go into some place which is so outstanding, there's a tendency for the people behind the counter to be kind of stuffy, not very open and receptive to conversations. Maybe they're overwhelmed, busy, or they look at you and you just don't feel the type of person in their head that even would be able to afford anything in that store. And you do not feel that at all when I walked into your store. And when you two, both of you, were just so nice and so receptive and so easy to talk to, that in itself is extremely refreshing. And again, people will, I learned this some time back, people forget maybe what you said, but they will not forget the way you made them feel.
Yeah.
One of our other kind of grounding principles in our vision is that we have a sense of humor that sometimes can be a little warped and fun, but laughter is a huge healing, in my mind, a huge healing piece to what we have to bring to this world. And so we really try to bring a element of laughter, and every day we hear literally out loud laughs of some of the things that we offer in the store. And I think that's the side that helps bring out that personality in us and other people, is that we're not afraid to broach subjects that some wouldn't in a retail environment. And so we mix that with this high-end home decor furniture element that really brings together a unique mix that kind of can be a juxtaposite oftentimes. You talked about, we have vintage, we have nautical, we have industrial. And so those are really our three founding kind of vision areas of what the store will be about. Because they're loves of mine. And so we bring that together with laughter and humor in some of the products that we buy and make, and some of the things that we offer.
I think another thing is, we want the store to be an experience for people, not just come in and find what you're looking for or find something to buy, but we want people to have fun when they come in and enjoy the store, even if they don't buy anything, look around and have fun and enjoy the time that you've spent with us.
You know what? And I experienced that too. I did not feel pressured. And what a difference that makes. I serve many things that I want to buy. And that's the good news, and it's not bad news. However, I'm sure that people may come in maybe 2 or 3 times before they actually even purchase something. And the beauty of it is that there's price ranges for all budgets. So there's no excuse. You can see something and say, oh my gosh, I would love to give that as a gift, because normally the first thought is you spend more on one of your friends, family members, etc., than you do for yourself. Even though that trick, I've mastered it. I buy things for my sister, and then I keep them for myself. My sister sees them, and I go, oh, this is yours. I haven't given it to you yet. I bought this for you. I'm just borrowing it right now. And we have this little thing going. In your in the store, and I call it a store, but I'm afraid to label it as a store because it's more than a store. There is a lot that goes on, you can tell, within that structure there. From a retail perspective and the choices that you're making for resale, let me put that, how do you make those decisions? Where do you make your choices on your inventory? Are there local artists, artists from around the world? Is it pre-manufactured? How do you make those choices and bring in your inventory?
In order to keep it unique, I think it's a mix of elements. I think we're big on local artists and supporting the local arts group, and so that's huge. So that's a start to it. I've had the pleasure of traveling extensively as a child. I grew up a military child, and so we moved quite a bit. And, through the years, I've gotten to experience different parts of the country and what that brings to life through different flavors of culture and the way that plays out from a creative perspective. And so I've tapped into those past experiences and continue to have those experiences. So I travel from West Coast to East Coast, really looking for the finds that we have. We also create many of the finds that are there. So we can start with an antique, a vintage, or a brand new item, piece of furniture, say, and it is brought into the store, and very rarely does it end up being sold in its natural state. We will take it and we will reimagine it, and we will think of it differently. How do we change it? We have a huge dining room buffet in the store right now that came in brand new and is now we altered the front of it and changed it into having a British flag, because the British flag is one so popular in our culture at this point in time, but big in interior design as well. And so we have taken and actually put on the front of this piece of furniture a British flag. So we do things like that to offer a more unique item to the customer, so that they're seeing different things that they don't see in the bigger box stores and or even our competitors locally. And that keeps people coming back, we find. So it's a quest. I mean, to find unique items that others don't have, you have to search high and low. And so I spend a lot of time traveling and doing that and making that kind of coming back to that vision of how do I bring that to life. That's a big part of what I do.
You just mentioned the UK, and of course I have to go woohoo because of our relationship with Fab Radio International, and you are listening to WSPF-DB, RanOnAir.com, and Fab Radio International out of Manchester, UK. And we actually have the owner of Fab Radio, and he also owns Starburst Magazine and various pubs in Manchester that we'll be visiting at the end of September. I definitely will be bringing him into your store, to your location, to see what we're talking about. And then he can go as well and exchange and share the information. This show does air on Fab Radio International as well, and I'm very proud of that. Now, I'm curious because I look at you and I'm staring at you as you speak. You are physically fit, annoying, very physically fit. You look,
I would probably argue that.
Well, yeah, of course. And you look very well put together. Your store is very well put together. There doesn't seem to be any disorganization. Your clothing is very, not starched necessarily, because in this case you're wearing Jesus hair, but you're just very prim and proper and well put together. You mentioned military. Normally, when I hear of, I grew up in the military, they always refer to, I'm a military brat. And they always put it in that perspective of rebellion. You get it more like as a rebellious thing and everything else. You do not project that to me at all. So as a child that grew up being military, in the military process, how was that experience for you?
It was great. I mean, I got to see some great places as we moved around. Some people would see that as a deterrent. To me, a creative individual, it brought stimulation to what I did. And so how I use that is really through all of my work, through all of my experiences that I've had. I take that creativity of seeing the different parts of the country and what that brings to who I am as an individual. The military side of it brought I'm a very regimented, organized person. Now, if you saw our back room at the store, you probably wouldn't agree with it. We have products coming in the store all the time in order to keep it unique and different, and every week we have people that come back sometimes 2 and 3 times in a week, week after week to see something, what's new, what's different. And every time they come in, they'll see something new usually. We spend a large amount of time doing that. So the back room is the kind of intake area where we get all that stuff in. And so it doesn't look quite as organized. And it drives, that's why Casey looked at me, because it drives us both nuts. But that military discipline was really ingrained in me from early years. And it has led to kind of, some might call it OCD. I think if you ask my partner, he would tell you that it is OCD that it has brought to me. But really, he says I have all the alphabet: ADHD, OCD. So, and I really do, I think. But it really has formed what I do and who I am and what the store is about. And
you have created your own alphabet, because looking at what you've accomplished. And I don't know you as well, but I do know one of your outcome products and projects, and it's very impressive, very impressive. You need to go check it out yourself at Zazood, and I'm going to throw this in right now. By the way, the store is at 531 Central Avenue, so you can see for yourself what I am talking about, and the website is www.zazood.com, and you are listening to WSPF-DB, BrianOnAir.com, and Fab Radio International.
I think, one of the biggest lessons in life is how do you take your adversity and turn it into something that really is going to make you marketable as an individual. And so, many artists have ADHD or ADD, and to me, the OCD side of it, that regimented side, really helps balance out the two. And so really I've taken that and tried to, take something that others might see as an obstacle, to take the two and combine them into a creative outlet that works for me, that works for others, obviously. You talked about visiting the store after going to the restaurant at night and wanting to go in because of what you saw in the window. Oftentimes we have to clean those windows every morning because people are glued against them trying to see into the store. And so we clean the windows probably more often than other
retail spaces. Do you count how many new nose spots are on the window?
We have nose, we have gum, we have all kinds of things that people leave behind. But we do have to clean them every morning. And we often hear, there's a great project in St. Pete called Second Saturday Art Walk, and we're open late for that. We serve wine and cheese and hors d'oeuvres on that evening. We're open till about 8:30, 9 o'clock in the evening. And people often come in on that night and say, oh my God, we've waited for you to be open late at night so that we could come in because we just get to look in the window. And so we get that a lot. We get that reaction a lot where people, and again, that's about having a window that draws people in. And that's back to the lighting and the importance of what you put in your window and how you put it there.
You need to get on that map. I am going to make an effort as well to let others, just to remind others in the Art Alliance and in the Warehouse Art District that you're actually doing that. I did not know that you were also participating with an art walk night. And I this month, I'm doing the trolley tour. I'm one of the volunteers for the trolley tour on Art Walk Night.
Awesome.
So I will definitely make sure that people know that you're
going to
we
get crowded on that night.
That
Very
is phenomenal. I did not realize that. And this is what happens. You start off, like for example, in my case, I may go to Michelle Teagle's down the street, but then you start off right on the corner. I have to get used to the new name. I call it new. Everything in my head. I'm like in. It used to be, it's
Florida
now
Craft Art.
Now it's Florida Craft Art, correct. And you go from there, and I was getting on a trolley, or I would walk through the alley because of the murals, and would get to the Morian. So now that I know that you're there, we need to make sure that we continue to cram your store, because obviously you've been getting a good crowd as it is. What efforts have you done for marketing, and what do you feel that's been very successful for you? Because now you did mention that 2 years into it, and you seem to have a customer base. What has been what do you think? What are the tools that you are using? What's the secret to your success?
You know, I have a marketing and advertising background actually from school as well. And that's an interesting side of it because most businesses in their first year would have advertised extensively and we didn't. I made a conscious choice not to do that because I really was trying to start out slow and then build the business over time because of me not being here full time. And so it was a strategic decision that we had, but word of mouth, if you have a great product, word of mouth is the best advertising you can get. Even people that don't constantly come in or haven't ever been in, because of our window, again, that's our best marketing tool, I believe. We get people in that come in because they've heard about it or they've seen it. I am a big social media person. And believe that fuels a lot of our marketing efforts. So after about 6 months and I saw how the success was taking off at the store, that kicked in and we started really focusing on social media. The good thing about Facebook, for example, is you can target your local area so specifically. And if you're good about doing that, and I read a lot of blogs on how to do that, and I read a lot of different articles on what's the best strategy to do that. And that really will take your advertising dollars further. This year, we've really started getting into print media more as we extend our two arms of our business that we haven't had enough time to really focus on, and that's the interior design side. Now, we've been doing projects all along since we've been here, more from a demand perspective, but we've had to turn down quite a few projects just because of my limited availability and time to be here. And then the weddings event side of it. So, you know, we've put on some really cool creative events for, you know, I work every year on the Davy Johnson Celebrity Golf Classic that's in Orlando, and we do that huge event. There's a big gala the night before, and we've coordinated and done the planning for that event and the decorating for that event. We've done some great stuff locally. You know, and so that side of the business is really why we're going into the print direction from a marketing perspective, so that people know that arm of the business is there more, because now I'm here full time and I can take on more projects as we go. And we've already seen an increase in interest and people doing that through the print efforts that we've done.
Do you maintain relationships business-wise with Orlando? Are you getting customers from Orlando as well?
I do, yeah. So because I had a following there, I have, you know, people that request me to come up there, such as the Davy Johnson Golf Classic. We'll go do that. I do windows. So I do retail windows as well. So I help others use that as a marketing tool and have won awards for that. So in Winter Park, Florida, there's a great store there that we have worked on their windows for 4 years, really bringing people in at the holidays. They have a competition at the holidays from a window perspective, and we've won it since the award started. And so we pride ourselves on not only working in Tampa and Tampa Bay, St. Pete, but also in Orlando as well.
You touch on so many important points. For example, you know, I'm listening to you and your experience. You have a diverse range of experience, and a lot of times people have, I've heard, you know, others say to me, well, what is it that she does? Because, you know, she does this and she does that and she does the other. And Rhino on Air has been the same way. It's all been word of mouth, more so than anything, for two reasons. One, I would have never thought I was going to be spearing a radio station, internet radio station, because that's not what I did. I'm sales, marketing, PR, did some event, you know, that background, but not expressing myself to the world and having to be in the back end. So I took that as experience, time to learn, and in the same, during that process, letting people find out on their own, word of mouth. Word of mouth does exist. It's an extremely good tool. However, knowing when to then step it up and move on to the next level is also very important. And growth can make you or break you. You have vast experience in different fields. You have mentioned, though, that for your store, you have 3 areas of focus. And I would like for you to reiterate on what those 3 areas of focus are so people know what to go, when they're thinking of when does Zazood come in.
So those 3 areas of focus really center around an industrial feel. So more if you think of lofty design, New York loft, metals, woods, bulkier items of that sort. The second would be kind of coastal chic. So taking coastal and really taking it up a notch and having coastal decor and items that are higher scale items that are not your tourist shop coastal. And so making that a little bit different. And then the last piece would be this kind of antiques vintage side, where there is some great repurposing happening across the country that people are doing. And we're one of those where we like to find, and that's the artist imaginative side of us, is really taking a piece and saying, how do we make this different? So we display things in unusual ways that other retail outlets wouldn't. We cut the back end of a yacht off and put it on the wall in the store, and that's how we display things. We use the back of it.
Oh
as
my
a shelf.
gosh, I don't know where I would put it, but whenever I can, and if it's still there, if it was meant for me, the piece of that front of the car, or is it a car?
We have a front of a Chevy truck that is a bar.
Oh my gosh, I so want that bar. That has our name written all over it. And it's not because it's a bar, it's because of the uniqueness of the piece. I don't care if it's a bar, a table, I would purchase that just to have it. What a great conversational piece for one. So well done. It makes it just so cool. Wherever they place that piece, it's going to be just phenomenal.
Yeah, so we reimagine things. We take an old English riding helmet and we turn it into a light fixture. We, do some really cool, different stuff, and it's a collaborative process that, Casey and I think together about what could this item be when it comes in. We have somebody on the team that goes out and searches for those items. And then we get the fun of trying to figure out what it's going to be. And sometimes it sits in the back room for a long time before we figure that out. And that's the creative process at work. And so we do that, and then all of a sudden it'll come to light and we'll be like, let's get this piece and turn it into a display, or let's get this piece and turn it into a light fixture. And so it really changes the shape of what you offer the public. We have an old antique child's car that is a light fixture now in the store. And so taking different things and reusing them and not just throwing them away and filling our dumps full of cool things that come back around and are in.
I know. At one show, I saw this lady had a sign, and she said, you're an artist and one of the things is you're a hoarder. Because that is what happens. You fall into this, everything I see. So I would love to be that person. And my fascination is with bottles. And I want to convert every single wine bottle or every bottle I see into a lamp. I thought I was like the most creative person on earth thinking about that. And I go into my girlfriend's house and she has this huge bottle, which is a lamp that somebody already had created, etc. However, my little piece of art is I like time on a bottle. And then so you do these unique things individualized for people based on their lives. So that's my whole creative process. However, the thought was functional art. So obviously that's what you do. You take, and again, you're helping the whole recycling process and the whole going green and taking stuff and making it into something. It goes from stuff
and
to
large
nothing.
stuff. I mean, to think that we cut the back end of a yacht off that was going to go to the dump.
How cool
And we turned
is
it into
that?
what could be a really cool bar for somebody outside. And we have other ones that we, if somebody wanted that kind of thing and has that kind of space, we can.
Can people actually commission pieces through you?
Yeah, sure. So we have people come in and have a piece they don't know what to do with, and we'll help them get there through the creative process of talking to them about their personality, what kind of space they have, bringing in pictures or us visiting the site, and then figuring out how to use it for the future. Sure.
We're already at 10:59. We started a few minutes after because we had some glitches in the matrix. And so I am going to extend this at least another 5 minutes because I have just so much going through my mind. Casey, as the manager of this store and being involved in this amazing process, what's your contribution on a day-to-day basis?
Well, first of all, I feel really fortunate to work with David and get to be a part of what's going on at Zazood. But oh, am I still not loud enough?
It's okay, just in case. I want to make sure that everybody hears this.
Okay. But I've always been, I guess, a creative as well. And I've always enjoyed working with creative people. And
she's a little timid because she's an amazing artist and does a lot of the artwork at the store. So she won't take credit for it, but I'll give her credit because she does some great work.
Well, I always just, I feel like I work better like with a team and whenever there's collaboration and that whole thing. So working with David, it brings it out of me too, and so that's it. That's what I love about it, and I love that we have so many branches too. Because working on one thing, I think would get so boring to me. But I love that we have the store and we have the items in the store, and then we have the things that we repurpose in the store, and then we have event planning, and then we have interior design. And getting to be a part of all of that is so fulfilling. And I don't know. I hope that I help him sometimes, but I just feel really fortunate to be a part.
And there you have it. There is something amazing. There is no I in team. And being able to work as a team and being part of a team takes so much. It's just not being there. And of course, obviously, you guys get in the moment and you know how to be in the moment. There's a lot of elements that become part of that, and it starts from the top. David, I commend you for being a good leader, for being you mentioned OCD and you mentioned, these other things, but in the same token, I do not see you. Somebody who's obsessive tends to forget about their surroundings. And you are very in tune with everybody else. It's part of your creative process.
Yeah.
You are just very humane, if that's the right
Thank
word, because that's the way you made me feel also when I went into your store. When I started talking to you, I'm thinking, wow, this guy has to be amazing. Look at this place. And then he's actually giving me the time of day. He wants to be on Connected Dots. How cool is he? I cannot say that enough. There's not enough. I mean, I don't feel that we've even scratched the surface today about what you're doing, who you are, your projects. I would love to have you back on to Connected
We'd love
Dots.
to. We'd love to
I
come
mentioned the word exquisite, and I have to put in this plug-in. We are doing an event at the Museum of Fine Arts on November 12th, 2015, which is going to be the unveiling of an exhibition that was created by a game called Exquisite Corpse. And I think I gave you a quick overview of that when I met you at your store. But that's what it's all about. It's about collaboration. It's about being able to, helping artists get out of their comfort zone and thinking out of that box that we have a tendency to put ourselves in. And that's one thing that you've been able to maintain in your store. You have not boxed your store into nothing. And I know it takes a lot of work, because to change every week, to clean that front window every day, that in itself, it's a lot of effort. So I commend you for the great job. I'm excited that you chose St. Petersburg as the place to do this.
We're excited to be here. We love this city.
And you're attracting more and more people. And I know that after today, even more of our locals are going to just run into your store. But it's very good to know. So I have one more question before we have to go today. Do you network with any of our local real estate agents here in St. Pete?
We've just started to kind of broach that subject. We have, like I say, I just moved here full time about 3 weeks ago. And so just starting to get into that kind of process so that we can, work more on the other.
Well, I have somebody I want you to meet, and it's
Awesome.
Mr. Steve Coder, and he goes by the name of Goldman Morgan. And it cracks me up because he's Goldman Morgan instead of that Morgan, no
Yeah.
relationship whatsoever. But he's very good at marketing, and he used to have a show here on RhinoOnAir.com, and he sells to the $1 million properties here, St. Pete. Not to say that you do not have art for all budgets, but it really allows to be very creative when you have
That's
money.
great. Yeah.
So he's somebody great to network
Money
with.
helps the creative process, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Anything else you'd like to share with us before we go?
I would just say come out and join us for Art Walk. It's a great event if you're out in the evenings. The next one's September 13th, so we'd love to see you out at the store or anytime for that matter. We'd love to have people coming in every day. And then our 2-year anniversary is coming up, and we're celebrating. It's coming up on the 29th, and we're celebrating that on September 26th through the 6th with some great events. And we'll keep you posted via our social media outlets. We're on all of the social media.
And through Rhino on Air, I am definitely going to make it a
There
point
you
to
go.
follow you. We do also an article, St. Pete Buzz. So I will continue to inform through St. Pete Buzz what's going on at
Awesome.
Zazood. Oh my gosh, Zazood. Where did the name come from?
Oh, that's probably a longer story than we have time for, but really it's a made-up name that we talk about. So when you drink a glass of wine, there more creativity flows from drinking that glass of wine, and so we talk about it being the euphoria. And so it's a made-up name that we used to use when somebody's probably had too much wine and they're in their creative mode. And so that's why we say somebody's getting Zazood. And so we use it now when we are doing an interior design project. We talk about how that individual is getting Zazood or a wedding's getting Zazood. And so it really kind of stemmed out of a funny joke, the humorous side of us, and then moved into what has been the business today.
And it's become a brand. I have been Zazood, and I'm sure that everybody that walks in there will feel the Zazoodness of when they walk in. I cannot thank both of you enough. This is Anne Marie Cash, connecting the dots on RhinoOnAir.com, WSPF-DB, with David Fisher, owner of Zazood, and Casey Smith, manager and also one of the very inspirational creative minds at Zazood. Thank you for listening in. Thank you both for being
Thanks
here
for
with
having
me
us.
today.
Thanks for having us.
And today at 6:30, don't forget, Going Solo with CC Shas, Life After Divorce. Yes, there is life after divorce. Tomorrow at noon, Dr. Christopher Jackson with The Path to Wellness. And on Friday, 2 Outcasts and a Mic. And speaking about 2 Outcasts and a Mic, I must give a shout out to Salvador Saint Germain, great sculpture, and today is his birthday. Happy birthday, Sal. You know we love you, and I look forward to hearing the show on Friday. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having us.
And please continue to listen to our phenomenal music, because don't forget, our music, we only play independent musicians' music. Music that for the most part you're not going to get to hear anyplace else. So contribute to the art and listen to RhinoOnAir.com. Have a great day. As we continue to say goodbye, la la la. This one's done. And now you can wave goodbye.